I never imagined that the path I thought was leading me closer to God would bring me to the darkest moments of my life. This is not just a story. This is a journey through fear, confusion, betrayal, and ultimately a miraculous encounter with truth and grace. My name is Hafsa, and I was only 15 when my world was shaken to its core. I grew up in a quiet town, in a devout Muslim family, where the mosque echoed 5 times a day, and obedience to faith was a non-negotiable pillar of our home. My parents taught me to respect the Quran, honor our religious leaders, and live a life worthy of our beliefs. Everything in my life seemed clear, structured, and secure. Until one day, everything changed. What follows is not a tale of despair, but a powerful testimony of what happens when light pierces through the darkest shadows. I invite you to listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart. I remember the sound of the call to prayer echoing through our neighborhood. It was the heartbeat of our town. Each time it rang out, we would pause everything: meals, homework, even games. My father would gently place his hand on my shoulder and remind me, "It's time to remember Allah." I would grab my prayer mat and follow my mother to the living room, where we would pray together, side by side. Those moments felt sacred, structured, and pure. They formed the foundation of my early beliefs, making me feel like I was growing up under divine protection. Islam was not just a religion in our home. It was our language, our rhythm, and our identity. I loved that world. I didn't question it. I didn't doubt it. I simply embraced it with the sincerity of a young girl eager to please both her family and God. At age 10, I began attending the mosque more frequently. That's where I met Imam Qasim, a man deeply respected by our entire community. His long beard, calm demeanor, and deep voice made him feel like a wise grandfather figure. He always greeted my parents with a kind smile and complimented me in front of others. "She is gifted," he would say. "Allah has special plans for her." These words made my parents beam with pride and made me work even harder to recite the Quran flawlessly. I started staying after class to get extra lessons, wanting to memorize faster and be the best student he believed I could be. At that time, I thought I was just doing the right thing. I didn't realize that my desire to please would later be used against me in the most twisted way. My life revolved around prayer, discipline, and learning. I tried to embody modesty and humility, dressing the way my faith required and speaking only when spoken to. My parents were proud of my devotion and often told others how blessed they felt to have a daughter so committed. My friends sometimes joked that I was too holy, but I wore that as a badge of honor. The structure of my faith made me feel safe. I believed I was on a divine path that would one day make me a good wife, a wise mother, and perhaps even a teacher of the Quran. That was my dream. Not wealth, not fame, just the ability to serve and stay close to God. Looking back now, I see how innocence can be both beautiful and dangerous when placed in the wrong hands. One evening after class, Imam Qasim asked me to stay back for a few minutes. "You have a gift," he said, "and I want to help you unlock it." I didn't think much of it at first. I was used to his praise. He told me to sit closer so he could help me with tajweed. My heart was racing, but I chalked it up to nervousness. I was a shy girl, always careful not to displease my elders. But this time something felt different. The room was quieter than usual, almost eerily silent. The other students had already left. My instincts told me something was off, but I ignored them, trusting the man who taught me about Allah. As I sat there, he corrected my pronunciation, placing his hand on my arm lightly. I flinched, not sure if it was intentional or an accident. He smiled and said, "You're becoming a woman now. You must learn the deeper meanings." Something inside me tensed. I didn't have the words or the experience to name what I was feeling, but I knew it wasn't right. When I tried to pull away, he laughed softly and said, "Don't be afraid. I'm like your second father." I forced a smile, nodded respectfully, and left the mosque with a heavy heart. That night, I couldn't sleep. I replayed every moment in my mind, trying to convince myself that I had overreacted, that maybe I was just misunderstanding his intentions. But the unease didn't go away. The next day, he asked me to stay again. This time, he closed the door. My breath caught in my chest. "Don't tell anyone," he said. "This is special knowledge only for mature girls." His tone had changed. It wasn't warm. It was commanding. He moved closer, and I froze. My body went stiff. My voice disappeared. When he touched my face, I pushed his hand away and whispered, "No." His face twisted into something I didn't recognize. The gentle teacher was gone. In his place stood a man filled with rage and entitlement. "You disrespect me," he hissed. "You shame your teacher." I ran. I didn't look back. I locked myself in my room and cried until my throat burned. I didn't tell my parents that night. I was afraid. Afraid they wouldn't believe me. Afraid they would blame me. In our culture, even the hint of such accusations could destroy a girl's reputation. I felt dirty, confused, and lost. I wanted to pretend it hadn't happened. I told myself I could forget it, move on, go back to life as normal. But I couldn't. Something inside me had cracked. The next few days were a blur. I avoided the mosque, made excuses, and stayed in bed pretending to be sick. My mother grew concerned. She knocked on my door one evening and asked, "Hafsa, are you all right?" I almost told her then, but the words caught in my throat. I was too ashamed. I lay awake most nights, my eyes wide open in the dark, listening to the sounds of our quiet home, the creak of the wooden beams, the occasional breeze brushing against the window. But inside me, there was a storm. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face. I heard his voice. I felt the dread return like a wave crashing against my soul. I wanted to scream, but the fear was louder. I wanted to disappear, to erase what happened, to go back to the girl I was before. But there was no going back. The memory clung to me like smoke after fire. My appetite vanished. I stopped smiling. Even the sound of the call to prayer, which used to soothe me, now made me tremble. I felt like I was slipping away and no one around me noticed, or maybe they did, but didn't know what to say. Then one night, I had a dream. I was running through darkness, chased by something I couldn't see, something cold and evil. My feet ached, and my breath came in shallow gasps. I cried for help, but no one answered. Just when I thought I couldn't run any longer, a man appeared ahead of me, dressed in white. His face glowed with a light I couldn't look at directly, and his presence calmed the storm inside me. He didn't speak right away. He just opened his arms. I collapsed into them, weeping. When I asked who he was, he replied, "I am the Good Shepherd." The name echoed in my spirit like a bell ringing in the silence. I didn't know what it meant, but I woke up with tears in my eyes and peace in my chest. For the first time in weeks, I felt like someone had seen me, truly seen me. That morning, my mother entered my room quietly and sat beside me. She looked into my eyes and said, "Something is wrong. You're scaring me, Hafsa." I couldn't hold it anymore. My lips trembled as the truth spilled out, word by word, like a dam breaking. Her face turned pale. She didn't speak. She simply listened, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. When I finished, she stood up silently and went to find my father. I sat in my bed, hugging my knees, waiting for anger, judgment, disbelief. But when my father walked in, he didn't shout. He didn't question me. He knelt beside my bed, pulled me into his arms, and whispered, "You did nothing wrong. I am so sorry." Those words undid me. I cried harder than I ever had before, not from fear, but from relief. We never returned to the mosque. Rumors began to swirl. Imam Qasim called my father, furious, denying everything. He accused me of making up stories to avoid memorizing the Quran. People started to whisper. Some of our neighbors began treating us differently. Women who once brought sweets during Eid now crossed the street when they saw us. My mother received cruel phone calls. One day, a group of men stood outside our home, staring in silence. I began to feel like a prisoner in my own house. The betrayal wasn't just from the imam. It was from an entire community that refused to believe a child. I was the liar, the rebel, the shameful one. I wished I had kept my mouth shut. But deep inside, I knew I couldn't have lived with the silence any longer. Then my mother had a dream. She saw the same man in white that I had seen. He looked at her and said, "Your daughter told the truth. Protect her. Follow me." When she asked, "Are you Isa?" he responded, "I am more than a prophet. I am the way, the truth, and the life." She woke up crying, holding her chest, trembling. That day, for the first time, my parents sat down with me and asked, "Do you want to know more about this Isa?" I nodded. We were afraid, but more than that, we were hungry for truth. My father secretly reached out to an old friend. A man who had once been Muslim but had chosen a different path. That man brought us a Bible wrapped in brown paper like a precious treasure. We hid it in the house, reading it only at night with the lights off. The first time I read Jesus' words, it felt like water in a desert. "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." I read it over and over, memorizing each syllable. The more we read, the more I felt something shift inside me. Not just belief, but belonging. One night we knelt together in the living room. My father, my mother, me. With tears in our eyes and trembling voices, we prayed to Jesus. I didn't know every word. I didn't understand every verse, but I knew I was giving him my heart. "Jesus," I whispered, "save me. I believe in you." And in that moment, something inside me came alive. I had thought faith was a system, a structure, a set of rules. But now I understood. Faith was a person, but our peace didn't last. Somehow someone saw the Bible through our window. The next day, a brick smashed through our glass with a note, "Come back to Islam or die." My heart pounded like a drum. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. Every creak in the night sounded like footsteps. My father did his best to stay calm, but I saw the worry in his eyes. Then, before the sun had even risen one morning, we heard banging at the door, angry, violent, determined. My mother pulled me into her arms. My father opened the door slowly. 5 men stood outside. One of them was Uncle Rashid, a man who once brought us dates during Ramadan. Now his eyes burned with hate. "Where is the Bible?" he shouted. My father tried to reason with him, but they forced their way in. They flipped our table, threw our books, and called me a disgrace. When the shouting stopped, they issued a warning. "Denounce the cross, or we'll tell the whole community. Your business will be gone. Your lives will be gone." They left, but their hatred lingered like smoke after fire. That night my father sat us down. He didn't need to explain. We already knew. "We can't stay," he said. "They won't stop." My chest ached. I didn't want to leave. Not my books, not my bed, not even my cat. But I knew he was right. We packed in silence, 1 small bag each. No goodbyes, no promises, only hope. And we slipped into the darkness, not knowing where the road would take us, but trusting that the same Jesus who met us in our dreams would guide our steps through the unknown. We boarded a small bus just before dawn, the sky still clinging to its last stars. The road was long, dusty, and unfamiliar. I kept my head down, afraid that even the slightest glance from a stranger might betray us. My mother held my hand the whole ride. She didn't speak, but her grip told me she was praying, fighting off the fear that lurked beneath the silence. Hours passed. Villages came and went, each one a blur. I watched through the cracked window as the world we knew slipped further behind us. Everything was uncertain. Where would we sleep? Would we be safe? Would they follow us? But beneath the fear there was also a strange peace, the kind that made no sense but wrapped itself around our hearts like a shield. We were fugitives, but we were free. We arrived in a small town where no one knew our names. A kind woman named Miriam greeted us at the door of a modest house tucked between olive trees and dry hills. She had warm eyes and a voice that made you feel like you were already home. She had once been Muslim too, long ago. Now she welcomed us like family. "You are safe here," she said. And for the first time in weeks, I believed it. Her home was small, but filled with peace. She gave us a single room with mattresses on the floor and warm blankets that smelled like lavender. That night we shared a meal, rice, bread and lentils, and read the Bible together by candlelight. I fell asleep with a full stomach and a quiet heart. But peace is often a visitor, not a permanent guest. Just a week after arriving, Miriam received a phone call. Her face fell as she listened, and when she hung up, she spoke in a hushed voice to my father. Someone had seen him at the market. They were followed. The danger was no longer behind us. It was here. That night we packed again. No time for tears. No time for goodbyes. We moved to an old farmhouse on the outskirts of the next village. It had no electricity, no running water, and the roof leaked when it rained. But it was hidden. And for now, hidden was enough. At night, we lit a candle and took turns reading from the Bible. The Word became our anchor, each verse a lifeline. One evening, I read aloud, "If the world hates you, remember that it hated me first." The words struck deep. They weren't just ancient, they were now. I started writing down the verses that spoke to me most, keeping them in a small notebook beside my pillow. They became my weapons against the fear, but the fear didn't stay away. One morning, while we were gathering wood outside, we heard the sound of an engine approaching. My stomach twisted. A car pulled up slowly. 3 men stepped out. I recognized one of them instantly, Imam Qasim. He was holding a stick. Another man held a rope. My father stood in front of me, shielding me with his body. "Go inside," he whispered. But my feet wouldn't move. My heart was pounding too loud. Imam Qasim's voice thundered, "You have brought shame to this community." He lunged forward, but before he could touch us, Miriam appeared from behind the house holding a phone. "I've called the police," she shouted. And just like that, they fled. But hatred rarely retreats quietly. That night, while we were asleep, our hiding place was set on fire. Thick smoke filled the room. Flames danced across the ceiling. My mother screamed, "Get out!" My father kicked the back door open and we stumbled into the cold night. We watched our belongings, our clothes, our Bible, even my teddy bear, burn to ash. I cried until I could barely breathe. Everything we had built, every little piece of comfort we had found was gone again. Miriam wrapped me in a blanket and held me. "Jesus was hunted too," she whispered. "But he rose again. So will you." Her words didn't erase the pain, but they planted hope. That night, I asked the same question over and over. Why, God? Why are we suffering for following you? That night, I had another dream. I was standing in a field of ashes, gray, lifeless, empty. My hands were blackened from sifting through the ruins. I cried, feeling utterly alone. But then Jesus appeared beside me. He didn't speak at first. He just took my hand and said, "Look." As I turned, flowers began to bloom from the ashes. Bright, beautiful, alive. I woke up sobbing. That image wouldn't leave me. Even from ruin, he could bring life. That morning, I shared my dream with my parents. My mother wept. My father bowed his head and prayed silently. The dream gave us strength, but reality reminded us that we were still in danger. Miriam, as much as she loved us, couldn't keep us any longer. People were asking questions. Her home had become a target. And so once again we packed. This time, we didn't know where we were going. We just walked. Through the night. No cars, no lights. Just the sound of our footsteps and the wind rustling through the trees. My mother's feet bled. My father carried our bag. I held on to the last scrap of comfort I had, my notebook filled with verses. After hours of walking, we found an abandoned school building near a forest. The roof was cracked. The walls were chipped, but it was dry. We slept on the dusty floor that night, huddled together like fugitives in a forgotten world. The next morning, my father went out to search for food or help. He told us to stay hidden. Hours passed. He didn't return. I paced back and forth, my heart tightening with each minute. Then I couldn't take it anymore. I ran outside, calling his name over and over into the empty air. I ran toward the road, my voice hoarse from shouting, "Baba! Baba!" And then I saw him. My heart dropped. 2 men had cornered him near a wall. One of them was holding a thick stick, hitting him while the other laughed, filming the scene with a phone. My father was bleeding. I froze, then screamed, "Stop!" The man with the stick turned to me and sneered. "Is this the cursed girl?" he shouted. He started walking toward me, but suddenly a voice rang out strong and clear. "Drop the stick!" A Christian man from a nearby village had seen the attack and called the police. 2 officers arrived moments later, breaking up the scene. The men fled. I ran to my father, knelt beside him, and sobbed. He had broken ribs, a cut above his eye, but he was alive. He looked at the camera the man had been holding and said, "I found the truth, and his name is Jesus." The police took us to a small clinic where my father was treated. My mother never let go of his hand. I sat in a corner, numb. I felt like the ground had vanished beneath our feet again. That night, the police sat with us and asked if we wanted to press charges. My father shook his head slowly. "They are blind," he said. "They don't know what they're doing." The officers looked at us solemnly. "We understand your faith," one of them said, "but these people won't stop. You need to leave the country. Leave the country." The words hung in the air like a stone. We had no passports, no money, no plan. How do you flee a land you've always known with nothing but wounds and faith? But God had already prepared someone. Daniel. That was his name. The Christian man who had saved my father returned later that week. He whispered to my father, "There's a group. They help people like you." He didn't say much, just handed over a small bag and said, "Be ready." We didn't sleep that night. We prayed, cried, and waited. At dawn, Daniel returned in a van. "Now," he said, "no time to waste." We climbed in, leaving everything behind, again. The van drove through countless checkpoints. Sometimes we had to hide in the back under blankets. My mother whispered scripture over me as we held each other in the dark. At one stop, soldiers checked our bags and asked where we were going. Daniel smiled and said, "We're just passing through." My heart was pounding, but they let us go. We were being covered. We were being carried. After days of traveling in silence, we reached a border. Daniel pointed to a tree. "Wait here. Someone will come." We huddled under its branches, cold and afraid. Then, a man with kind eyes and weathered hands approached. He had a small boat. Without speaking, he motioned for us to follow. We climbed in. The boat moved quietly across a wide river. On the other side, he helped us out and said, "You're safe now." My father fell to his knees and wept. "We are free," he whispered. It didn't feel real, but it was. We had crossed into a new land, a new life. We were taken to a safe house run by Christians. It was warm, clean, full of people like us, people with scars, stories, and hope. I met a girl who had escaped after being beaten for speaking the name Isa, a boy who had lost his leg, but they were alive. We were alive. One day, in that quiet house, I saw a Bible on the table. I opened it to Isaiah 61. My eyes filled with tears. He will give you beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise instead of despair. That was my story. That was our story. I cried not from pain but from gratitude. That verse lived in my bones now. Our life began to rebuild. Slowly. My father began teaching others from the Bible. My mother, who had never sung before, began leading worship songs. And me, I began sharing my testimony. Not with shame, but with power. I told people about the mosque, the betrayal, the fire, the dreams. I told them about Jesus meeting me in my nightmares and walking me into the light. I was no longer afraid, no longer silent. My voice was now a weapon for truth. There are still hard days. There are still nights when I wake up crying. Still moments when I look over my shoulder. But now, I know I am not alone. The one who found me in the dark never left. He walks with me. He comforts me. He fights for me. To the girl out there who's afraid to speak, your voice matters. To the boy who thinks choosing Jesus means losing everything, it's true, you might lose much. But what you gain is worth far more. To the family being torn apart for the name of Christ, hold on. You are not forgotten. There is one who sees every tear, hears every cry, and stands in the fire with you. His name is Jesus. He is not just a prophet. He is the Savior, the way, the truth, the life. My name is Hapsa. I was only 15 years old when my life was turned upside down. I lost my home, my community, my childhood. But I found something greater than anything this world can give or take. I found Jesus, and I will never turn back, not even if it costs me everything, because I've already seen what it's like to lose everything and still have Him. And that, I've learned, is more than enough. If you're listening to this and you feel broken, abandoned, afraid, know this. Jesus is near. He hears you. He sees you. And He's waiting. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be strong. You just have to say, "Jesus, save me." That's what I did. And my life has never been the same. I've shared my story not because it's easy to tell, but because someone out there needs to hear it. Maybe you've been betrayed by someone you trusted. Maybe you've been silenced, rejected, or made to feel unworthy. Or maybe, like I once was, you're searching for truth in a world full of noise and fear. I want you to know this. You are not alone. The pain you carry, the questions you wrestle with, the tears you cry in secret, Jesus sees it all, and He doesn't turn away. He leans in. He offers you rest, healing, and a new beginning, just like He offered me. He isn't waiting for you to fix yourself first. He's waiting to hold you exactly as you are right now. If this testimony touched something deep in your heart, don't let it end here. Don't walk away, and return to the silence. Let today be the moment everything changes. You've heard my voice, but now it's time to hear his. Open the Bible. Pray. Ask him to show you the truth. And if you've already felt his presence tugging at your heart, don't wait. Follow him. Say yes to the one who walked through fire for you. You might lose things along the way. Friends, comfort, safety. But what you'll gain can never be taken from you. Life, freedom, peace, eternity. The truth isn't an idea. The truth is a person. His name is Jesus. I want to invite you to take the next step. Subscribe to this channel to continue hearing stories of courage, faith, and transformation. This is more than just content. It's a community of people who have found hope in the middle of despair. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. You never know whose life you might touch. Leave a comment and tell us your story. We read every one. This is a place where your voice matters. And most of all, if you're ready to make a decision to follow Jesus, say it out loud. Tell him, right now, Jesus, I believe in you. Save me. Lead me. I'm yours. And if you've already made that decision, I want to encourage you. Stay strong. Stay faithful. Keep growing. Your story matters. Your faith matters. You're part of something bigger than you can imagine. Don't let the fear win. Don't let the world silence you. You were made for more. You were created for relationship with the God who sees you, knows you, and loves you completely. Keep walking, even when it's hard. Keep standing, even when you're tired. He is with you every step of the way. Thank you for letting me share this piece of my life with you. It wasn't easy to relive the pain, but if even one person finds hope, it's worth it. You are more than your past, more than your fear, more than what others have called you. You are loved by a God who gave everything to bring you home. I hope you never forget that, and I hope you'll stay with us on this channel, in this journey, in this mission of light in a world full of shadows. We need each other. We're stronger together. So wherever you are, whether you're hiding in fear, searching for answers, or standing firm in faith, I'm standing with you. I'm praying for you. And I believe with all my heart that the same Jesus who rescued me will meet you right where you are. Keep listening. Keep seeking. Keep holding on. He's closer than you think. Until next time, this is Hapsa, your sister in Christ. I love you all deeply. Thank you for walking through this with me. Stay strong. Stay faithful. And above all, follow Jesus, no matter the cost.